this time I've got another Spectrum engine, and it's a nice sunny morning, Mother's Day, but it's a DCC onboard Spectrum Bachmann model. It is a get something on my camera. It's a 210-2 Chicago and Illinois Midland. So this time I don't have any papers on it. It probably came with some, which I would guess it did, just because it probably it probably did when I got it new, but it doesn't this time because it's been opened. Get this big box lid off. This big thin piece of foam. 0 and 30 sounds better. And there's the trim. Get the tender out. Got some paper around that. It's number 603. It's got the little Chicago, Illinois thing right there. Your DCC plugs, power feeder wire, DCC plug, contacts on the wheels, the little DCC on board. Nice riveting all over the whole thing. A decent little amount of weight to the tender, and then a nice cold load that I think comes out. Yeah, it comes out. There's no detail in there though. I guess then you just put in an actual little cold load thing. Okay, set this over here. Get this part. This is what I think is kind of odd. The engine itself is in a sleeve type thing with a little locking thing around it. It's not, the tender's not though. I guess since it's so long. Better than Hornby's packaging, that's all I can say. Oh, Inner CD82 says the sun has complaints about most of the Hornby packaging anyway, but he's got some new models that have better. But one thing about the Bachmann models, if you're not talking about the old stuff, they do not come in styrofoam. Now there's a few in the older, no, some of the newer ones, the 060s. The 060s come in styrofoam. There's probably a few others, but most of mine come in a little plastic sleeve thing, or like a little plastic canister. So, get this little lock thing off, set the engine down. Slide this back into it. See, Helge's packaging copies a lot of this, except this got even more. Stupid flies. But, not too heavy. Not as heavy as some engines, but it's nice. Smaller drivers. This center one's blind. But it probably helps drive though. I don't really know how well the blind drivers help. But see, one thing that's different about this engine, it's got a lot of this, and this has got double pieces that smooth back and forth, but it does not have any valve gear up here. So it's got weird valve gear compared to most. For some reason, this front truck has 2 holes, so I guess I don't know what that's for. Got a long shank coupler up here to go over the snow plow. Cab detail not painted, but then you got your little cab figures that are painted and they're already installed. Kind of referencing to Hornby, they don't install them and they're not painted. And I don't even think that some of them even fit in the cabs that well, just because they all come with the same type. You got your front end. There's riveting and lots of little fragile detail on here. It's got the working bell. A little moving bell. It's not really working. It's not like Lionel's O-gauge where it actually moves when you turn the bell on. If you look on Super Mirrors or whatever, he does a lot of HON3 and ON3. He's got some where he's actually put a separate decoder in his engine to or functions, and he's actually got his sound decoder bell function as the same function on the motor that powers his bell to move it. So he's actually got a bell on one of his 0 and 3 things that moves, and he's got it, the bell function on the same one, so he just presses it and it comes on. So he's programmed the function decoder to power the motor when he presses whichever bell function. So let's get it on the track. Get the camera. Let's get the engine first. Then we'll get the... Let me just set that there just because I have to hook up the wires. The tender. Set the tender on the track. Set up the tripod. There. There we go. Take this all back off the track. Plug up the little wires, sockets. Small plug in the small socket and a large plug in the large socket. Depending on what radius curve you're running, you might want to prefer to use the very end hole. If you're using very, very large radius turns, like larger than 22, I would just use the first, because the connection doesn't work too well. Okay, it's on the track. Turn on the headlight. I almost forgot about that. Thomas is programmed to the same one. That's full speed there. Now watch it at low speeds. It's kind of jittery at low speeds, but something to do with all the rides. I kind of like the kind of like that sound. It sounds like chugging. Well, there you have it.